Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
And it feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light, when you hit that first joint, in the morning, and you.
I actually feel a lot more awake.
You were saying that you were feeling a little more of that exile energy coming up lately. Do you want to say more about that?
Yeah. So I've been, I would say definitely giving into listening more to what the exile has to say. And it's been interesting because it's a very kind of confused and flustered kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
My protective parts haven't been, they've laid off a little bit, and it's resulted in, I guess, my exiled parts feel a little bit actually kind of vulnerable.
Yeah.
But they're in the limelight right now. And so I've been in that experience.
Okay. And what does that feel like? Kind of in the body, what does that connecting with the exile feel like?
Okay. It feels almost with my exile, when I try to dive into that energy, it's a little bit harder to sense in my body. It feels very out of body, very just disconnected, almost. Kind of floaty, not centered. And it's a very just confused kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm happy to work with that part and to get to know that part with you. But I would ask, like I did last time, what else comes up when you think about working with that part? Are there other protector energies that are pushing back? And can we just look out for those and address them? That might be just a quick thing, but do you have any other sensations about that?
I don't sense so much. They're not. They're not. No, not too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this energy is a little out of body feeling, a little harder to sense. Is there a way you can just focus on that and just do anything you can to kind of deepen your access to that part.
Mm-hmm. Let me see.
It might be kind of in space, and visually you might see yourself kind of walking towards it or inviting it towards you, or could be any other way.
So when I try to imagine, my exile as a form
Mm-hmm.
in my mind that I'm approaching, it feels as though it's the energy I get from it is in my chest, like a panic or like an anxiety
Mm-hmm.
that I'm just sensing from seeing the form in front of me instead of trying another route.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling towards that anxiety? Like, are you okay with that right now?
I definitely want to, it feels very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it to go away or to stop or to relieve it.
Yeah. Okay. So see if you can kind of turn to that part of you that wants it to go away and ask it for some space so that we can get to know it a little better and just see how it reacts.
Now that part is is anxious because of that other anxiety staying there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's stick with that. We don't want to push past any concerned or anxious parts. So yeah, what kind of messages is it sending you or sensations?
Mm. That it doesn't want that part to be there or to feel this way,
Mm-hmm.
or to cause me to feel this way.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let it know that it makes sense to you.
It feels some relief from being acknowledged that way.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like it's doing something wrong.
You say it doesn't feel like it's doing something wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not doing anything wrong. So you can show it even some appreciation for looking out for you. And then just see how it reacts to kind of a message of, if you could heal this part, what we're calling exile, or this other feeling, and it wouldn't have to, then this protective part wouldn't have to feel this way. Just what would it think about that? How does it react to that?
Okay. It views that other part as kind of like, okay, let's help, instead of saying, that part shouldn't be there. It has more, I guess, sympathy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you say you're feeling towards this exile part now?
I feel for this part just the same. I feel like myself and this other part, we're looking at this exiled part with sympathy. Like I'd like to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So see if you can send that message to that exile part. See if you can let it know that you'd like to help and that you would like for it to kind of reveal itself to you a little bit more so that you can get to know it.
Okay. Okay. I feel like when I try to translate that message of trying to help and understand, it doesn't it's almost like it's a foreign concept to it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't understand like what's help. What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we might, I think we can start with just curiosity. Like maybe we don't have the exact answer. So we're just going to try to learn about it and its situation.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we can figure it out together.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. It's curious about me having curiosity for it.
That's great. That's a good start.
Yeah.
It's an essential first step. Can you see this part, or are you just sensing it?
I kind of sense it as though I'm looking at like an energy in front of me in my mind's eye. And it feels like it's like almost like an eclipse where you see like a bright light and in the middle there's like a dark hole. And that's what the energy kind of looks like to me. It's a little shadowy. It's very it's hard to sense. It's hard to read, but
okay.
It's there.
Or you could try asking it just if there's anything it would like for you to know about it.
Okay. Like it wants to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It definitely wants to. I'd say it doesn't dislike itself, but it doesn't want to feel the way it's feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does it feel like you understand the way that it feels? Just try asking it.
Okay. I think it does understand that I understand. Because I feel like me, myself, looking at this part, I feel like it's just carrying a heavy weight. Like a lot of weight, a lot of heavy feelings, a lot of burden. And I think it understands that.
It feels like you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't have... We just want to make sure that it's able to show you what that burden is. And
okay.
If that is, if it's showing you detailed memories or whatever, you don't have to share any of that with me if it's, or whatever. So just checking in again with asking it if there's more it wants to show you about what that burden looks like, where it comes from.
Okay. Okay. It's kind of like faced more towards me. I feel like this energy had its like back turned to me, and it's kind of faced me, and it's trying to explain to me that it feels like it has to make all these big decisions that are really important, that that nobody else is handling but that part. And that it's still paying attention to these really vital, kind of like maybe life-changing decisions, of should I reach out to this person? Should I strive for a future with them? Should I continue the relationship I'm in? Things like that. It's saying that these are heavy burdens, and it's the only one in charge of them.
Okay. Does that make sense to you, the way it's describing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just see if you can communicate that with it, your understanding of that, and your appreciation of its intention to handle all of that.
Okay. So I communicated that, it's that I'm grateful, and it was almost like, so I'm not doing a bad job. Kind of like, am I doing okay? And I'm like, yes, you definitely are.
Well, you definitely appreciate the intention.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Might ask it what it's afraid would happen if it didn't work so hard, if it didn't do that job.
Okay. It just like asks, who's going to do this? Who's going to handle these decisions, this burden? It's almost like it doesn't want to put them down and just leave them there. Feels very responsible. Yeah.
Well, you could make the suggestion that you would handle it.
Okay.
Just see how it reacts. You might ask what it would rather be doing with its energy if you were to handle it, if you were to take some of that burden.
So I, stated that I would handle it, and that no matter what, that we would be okay. And it was very hesitant to allow me to take,
sure,
I guess, that burden from it. And when I asked what it would rather do instead, it didn't really have an idea. It really didn't. I don't think that it recognizes what life would be like without it having to, to have this anxiety and this pressure.
Try asking it how old it thinks you are, and just wait for the answer.
Okay. So it knows my age. I'm 30. It knows my age, but it doesn't trust for me to handle things. And I feel like this is definitely a younger part. This is definitely younger than 30 part. So it's looking at me as an adult and saying, but I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's maybe return to what would happen, and just ask it what would happen if it didn't do the job.
Okay. It's scared that I'm going to have regrets or that we're going to have regrets.
Yeah.
It's afraid of making a mistake that's going to follow us for life, ending up with the wrong person or, screwing up my life path, trying to be with somebody who I'm not meant to be with or, yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Great. And just sticking with that, and what would be so bad about that? Like, that might sound like a silly question, but what would be so bad about the consequences of those?
Of that.
Yeah.
Scared I'm going to get hurt or, hate my life or have regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, just try to show appreciation for its looking out for you. Wants to keep you safe.
Okay.
You might ask if there's another part that it's protecting. Perhaps an even younger part. When it thinks about that hurt.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is showing me that there's a fear of an inability to cope with the negative consequences of making, the wrong decision or making bad decisions on partners.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tell me or show me another part, but there is like a core to this is a fear that I don't know how to cope or that I wouldn't know how to cope or I can't cope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your intuition around, what's your response to that?
Okay. That, in life, bad feelings will happen. This is a reassurance that I'm offering it is that, life, bad feelings do happen. And it happens every day to many people. And, that they're, you survive, life changes, and you definitely get through it.
Yeah. You mentioned that it doesn't, even though it feels younger than you, it doesn't necessarily trust you. Or trust you to handle this type of job. So what does it need from you in the future? What would it need? What would it need to trust you to do that?
It's because it is younger. I sense that it's telling me an answer that's a little naive, and it says, I just want to know that we're not going to be unhappy. I just want to know that, we're going to be happy and that everything's going to be okay. And that's what it would need is for almost like a guarantee from me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so Um, yeah, just see if you can. We want to know what makes it happy. Like, what does that look like for it? What would it rather be doing? What does its kind of dream world look like? And you might just spend some time showing it options or kind of brainstorming with it.
Okay. It's showing me and giving me the energy of feeling full, almost like full of like a lively energy that I am, maybe in. It's definitely showing me a different circumstance and where I'm living now.
Uh-huh.
A different place where I'm living, a different energy that I'm embodying. That's what it would consider happiness is just feeling full, living a different kind of maybe lifestyle, more vibrancy. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I like to spend time here and really brainstorm, like, okay, so what steps do I need to take so that this part can relax a little? I mean, and it sounds like a wise part. They usually are. It has a lot to show you and to help you look out for.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to fire it. We just want to, if it's getting your attention in a way that's doesn't work for you, then the question is, how can you communicate with it, hear from it without that anxiety, without that feeling?
Mm.
And what can you do for it so that it doesn't feel like it has to get your attention that way?
Okay, let me try. It's almost like it's telling me that it feels like it has to choose because I'm not choosing. And so one of the steps that it wants me to do is just to choose, just to take, because I am the older person, to actually fulfill my responsibility to be an adult and choose.
Yeah, it wants you to be the leader.
Yeah. Yeah, it wants, that's the first thing. And it also feels as though I'm not kind of not maybe living the lifestyle or the same kind of life that it knows could make me happier.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe I'm with a partner who I shouldn't be with. Maybe I'm living somewhere that doesn't inspire me. And that these are steps that I would have to go through for it to feel more trusting of me.
Mm-hmm.
And to feel as though I could kind of put down these burdens of having to choose and make sure I'm not making a mistake.
Yeah. How do you feel about like working with it in that way and hearing from it in that way and kind of taking some of its cues, but also with the goal of being the leader?
It feels there's a little part of me that is a little bit, I guess you could say I get I get scared to make bad decisions. So now that it's on me, it's like, okay, well, I have to live with whatever the consequences are.
Sure.
And just move forward. Because parts of me are suffering because I'm not. It's a little daunting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it feels like the pressure is definitely on me now. Yeah. But
I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, there's definitely fear involved in just being alive.
Yeah.
But I think that with this type of work, you can address those fears and kind of, again, you can soothe them, you can lead them, you can you can provide for them internally in a way that you might not. Just because something isn't happening in the external world doesn't mean that you can't kind of have it internally, especially for these younger parts. Can you see how old that part is?
Let me see. Probably like 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been doing this job for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. And how close are you to it now, like in feet? What's your proximity?
Maybe like 5 feet. 5 feet.
Yeah. Would it be okay for you to invite it closer, for you to get closer to it? Does that feel good for you?
Sure, let me try. I could go like a foot, and then this part is going into mistrust or yeah.
Okay. Well, it's given you a lot. It's given you a lot to work with and a lot of.
Yeah.
Again, it's a wise part for a 6-year-old part. They usually are. So just thank it. Yeah.
It's funny because now I no longer see like this like shadowy energy. Like I see an actual child.
Yeah.
It's changed form. Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know what you want to do next. We can say thanks to this part and come to learn more about it later, or if you'd like, we can. Now that you've seen kind of the person behind the shadow, you could just keep asking about, yourself getting closer and more about what you can do to understand this part.
I wouldn't mind asking maybe a question or whatever you recommend as far as trying to get a better idea of what it needs or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of different questions you could ask. How did it get this job?
Okay. Well, it definitely doesn't feel like it's signed up for it. It feels as though it's just landed onto it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a choice. It's just what it's here for.
Yeah.
Is what it's communicating.
And how do you feel learning that about this 6-year-old part?
I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's definitely no responsibility of a young part to be in such a position where it doesn't know anything else.
Yeah. So just try to communicate that to it. That you don't like that it's forced into a role, and you find it sad.
Okay. I did communicate that, and the part is almost like realizing that it's like I don't have to be here, because it wasn't given a choice to be there, and so it's curious, like that it has a choice to be there or not.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could just ask it kind of what it would think about not being there anymore.
Okay. It wants to be there, but it doesn't want to be in that same role. But it still wants to exist, and it still wants to be, relevant. It almost feels abandoned if I try to, if I ask if it wants to be there, it has a feeling of abandonment. Yeah.
Right. And so what do you think about that idea of letting it have a different role, but keeping it close, maybe closer than ever to you?
I like that idea. Let me communicate that.
Yeah.
So it feels like a better energy when I ask it, what other or what role or how does it feel about reprising its role into something else. And it almost feels as though it has the vibrancy of like a 6-year-old that wants a creative role.
Yes.
It gets it brightened up a little bit, where it's saying that it wants to kind of help me express creativity in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much with like finger paints and stuff, but just with general ideas of what I can do to have more creative endeavors and hobbies in my life.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stay with that. Just keep showing it that, and letting it show you what that might look like for it to be unburdened.
Okay.
And for it to have close communication with you.
It's interesting. So it definitely it wants me to check in every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying that I want to I want to hear from you every day. And then when I almost asked it how it felt about its old job, it's like, no, that's your responsibility. I'm not doing that.
Yes.
Like the burdens that it was kind of these pieces that it was trying to tend to, that it's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's your job. I'm done.
Yeah.
And it starts showing me other things that it wants to do. It's very, as a 6-year-old, is very food oriented. So I'm just asking
Hey,
what kind
why
of
not?
ideas it has.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to make donuts and I want to try different coffees.
Hell
and
yeah.
I want to, just goes into these food ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying seeing all that. And what do you think about that idea of checking in every day?
I definitely think that's important. I would like to make that a priority.
Yeah.
And add that to my routine. Yeah.
It's become part of my routine since I met my inner 6-year-old, and it doesn't have to be an hour. It can just be a minute of saying hi and seeing how they're doing and seeing what new brilliant ideas they have, because they always have new brilliant ideas.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. So if this part's feeling like it can trust you more, you could ask if it's ready to leave that time and leave that job and kind of come with you to the present day or out of that place.
Yeah, it's definitely ready to welcome more kind of fun into its own life. And yeah, it's definitely ready.
Great.
For sure.
And is there like a place that this part would like to go? Is there a place maybe in fantasy, or just where does it see itself being at home?
She wants to go to almost like I imagine like a warm cottage-like house with like a fireplace, and like I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, my 6-year-old has like lavish taste. Like,
yeah,
it's like a really comfortable place, just very comfortable. There's like all types of like cookies and stuff for her to do. Yeah.
Great. Go ahead and take her there. And just tell her that she doesn't have to go back.
Okay. Yeah, it's almost like a gingerbread Candyland house. Like,
beautiful.
Yeah. So she's definitely better. Definitely. In comparison to when I had found her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might ask if there's any feelings in her body that she feels like she would like to unload, any burdens, pains, feelings in her body that she'd like to unload, and where she might be carrying them.
It feels like she, she's enjoyed her, the transfer of the roles, but she's still a little bit anxious as far as trusting that I won't make, a mistake and end up feeling bad. She's still a little bit anxious over that. I could tell that she's trying to ignore it. It's still a little bit at her core though. So like down the center, I sense like a little bit of a cluster, or like a little bit of a traffic jam down her core. So from the chest down to the root.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also just let her know that now that you're able to, there could be other parts. There probably are. There are other parts that have feelings. There could be other parts that she's protecting, and you're able to do this with all of them. So you can let her know that this is a beginning. But if she'd like to kind of unload some of those feelings, that's something you could do for her now, or do with her now. You might ask her if she'd like to give those feelings up to maybe one of the elements, like fire or water or wind, or anything she would like.
Yeah. So she just wants, reassurance that I'm just not going to fall apart. She's more concerned with me than she is with herself.
Yeah.
She just wants to know that, if we do make a mistake, are you going to be okay? Is everything, are you going to be able to be, to not regret or look back? And that's pretty much the only reassurance that she's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your response to that?
That I'm always, I'm always going to, I can, almost as though like I am resilient. I can, cope. I will make mistakes and I will start over and I will be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I like to tell my parts is, shit's gonna happen, but like we're in it together. I'd rather be in this close communication when it happens rather than that part deals with it all and kind of seals it up.
Yeah.
But especially with the very young parts, she's a master at creating gingerbread houses and exploring. She has so much to offer in that regard that, when it comes to choosing romantic partners, for example, there's just certain decisions that she could probably let go of.
Yeah. I think it's, and I'll have to continue this almost like education with her of what, that's not appropriate for her to
Just showing
be
her,
in charge of.
just showing her you are,
Yeah.
as a 30-year-old.
Okay.
All the things that you handle, and all the resources you have.
Okay.
So again, would she like to try giving up some of those feelings to one of the elements? She certainly doesn't have to.
It almost like gravitates to kind of letting things go in the air.
Okay. So see if you can just kind of facilitate that, set that up with her, however she'd like to do that. Just tell her to do that until it's all out.
Okay. It's almost like a combination between like letting papers go in the air and then blowing bubbles and letting that go in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's helped. I think it's helped her.
So how's she feeling now?
much more accepting of her role. She's saying, okay, so let's do this. I don't feel as much anxiety down her core.
Good. Is there some other qualities you would like to invite in while we're at it?
Another quality?
Yeah. Is there some other state or feeling that she would rather have more of?
Okay. I think she wants more movement, because I sense when she was dealing with this bird and she was kind of sitting in the same position, just staring at these pieces and saying, what do I do? And so when I have her get up and move around and dance around, she feels freer.
Yeah.
And I think that, she definitely wants a sense of more freedom in her body and more freedom of mind. Liberation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, just let her, however she can bring that into her now.
Yeah.
There's one other thing you might want to do, which is, if we go back in the conversation, there were other parts that were a little reluctant or anxious about you working with this part.
Mm-hmm.
And you might want to just invite them or show them your work here and just see how they react to that.
Okay.
You might want to ask any other part in the system if it has something it wants to let go of, if it has some bubbles it needs to blow or papers to send off.
It's funny because that productive part that was minimally there in the beginning is looking at this scene where my 6-year-old, I took her outside the gingerbread house to go swing on a swing. And this protective part is feeling a little bit envious. They're actually a little bit kind of like, why?
Yeah.
That's almost like, that's not fair. Or like, why, okay, fine.
Yeah. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do this for all your parts.
Wow. Okay.
So just let it know, and you can invite it right now. We don't want to encroach on the 6-year-old's space necessarily, but what does this part, need, and is there something it's inspired by? And let it join the team.
Okay.
Let this be for everyone.
It's almost like I imagine like this, this energy that I invited it over, and it feels like it doesn't really know the young part.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little bit suspicious of that young part. But it at least came over. And so that's a start.
It really is.
I'll definitely work with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's common. A lot of times parts, they haven't met, they don't work together. And maybe they don't want to work together. That's okay too. They can have very different roles and intentions and preferences.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Very good. I definitely feel a lot more, I guess, whole, put together. I feel less anxiety.
Yeah.
100%. That was burdening me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel more directed.
Yeah.
In terms of but it was definitely, it's very helpful.
And that 6-year-old part is very wise to ask you to check in every day. That's kind of the standard prescription. Anytime that we meet a part and connect with a part like this, it's usually check in every day for 3 weeks or so.
Okay. Okay.
There's usually a lot more that they would like to share with you.
To express.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feeling,
that's beautiful.
Feeling good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you
sharing.
so much.
Sharing all of that. It was incredible.
Thank you. That's wonderful guidance and wonderful advice. I definitely will be checking in and seeing how she's doing.
Awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It was nice working with you today. And if you want to do it again sometime, get on that calendar. We'll happy to keep working with you.
For sure. No, I really enjoyed it. I mean, as long as the invitation's open, I will definitely
100%.
take you up on that.
I love doing
lovely.
this. Awesome.
All right, James. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Zikri, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube, and they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.